Hey everybody, John Van Dyke here for New Jersey Exposed. Today is Sunday, April 24th, 2022. Time is 2:43 p.m. Yes, Jersey time, a very pleasant Jersey time, I might add. It's in the mid to upper 50s, lots of sunshine, got a little breezy air, but hey, I'll still take it. So, on that note there, what a great day it is. It's also another great day. The news just came out that one of our local heroes here has pretty much exhausted his efforts to getting out of paying his dues for killing somebody. If you've been following my channel, you'll know who I'm talking about. Mr. Jake Pascucci, also known as the former Officer of the Month at Long Branch Police Department. Mr. Jake Pascucci had run a lady over. He left a backyard PBA function, I understand it was, and he had a few to drink, and he was going to head out to another bar to have another drink, and he was going very fast down Ocean Avenue, and this nice woman was crossing the highway to get to the CVS to buy some bandages for her husband, who was waiting for her back in the very nice hotel across the street. They were out on a little weekend getaway, I think it was. Unfortunately, she didn't make it back. Mr. Jake Pascucci, who admitted to drunk driving, slammed into Mrs. Barkowski and hit her so hard she flew out of her shoes. And from the looks of the vehicle, I'm sure she got all busted up. And I never asked, but knowing what I know about the business, the funeral business, I got a feeling that was a closed casket. She probably was not in nice shape, and that just further added injury to the insult where he couldn't say goodbye to her. I hope he was able to see her and have some kind of closure to her untimely demise at the hands of this police officer. Now, Mr. Jake Pascucci, Officer of the Month, was sentenced to 364 days in prison, or jail, I should say. And the reason it was 364 days is he got that on a plea deal. And with 364 days, that means he stays in the county. He doesn't go to a state prison. So in the county, he's probably going to get treated a little bit better because he'll be around his local gang members. Now, he went back to court and appealed the sentence, and it was actually reduced down to 180 days. So he went from 364 days to 180 days for drunk driving that smashed into a woman and killed her. And at the last court hearing, the coward, which is what Jake Pascucci is, in my opinion, he's a coward. You're a coward, Jake Pascucci. He could not even do the apology himself. He had to have his lawyer orchestrate an apology and read it. This is the kind of coward that you are, Jake Pascucci. You couldn't even look at the victims in the eye and say, you know what, I'm sorry. But you couldn't do it, could you, Jake? So anyway, he got 180 days. They were back in court trying to get that 180 days down to even less. And as it happened the other day, or I found out last night when I was sitting at the diner eating my dinner, and I was checking out the latest developments, in the Blue Line gang, see who's been arrested and sentenced, and it came up. So I'm going to read it, the latest on this. This is reported in the Patch, and it is dated April 21st, so I'm a little behind on this for some reason. And it reads as follows: ex-Oceanport cop loses third appeal in fatal 2017 DWI crash. And here's our hero's face right there. Take a look at him. He's a hero. Now, they're saying it's Oceanport. He really was an officer at Long Branch, but the story is he originally was an Oceanport police officer, and he transferred over to Long Branch. And that's where his luck went downhill. So let's read and find out. A former Long Branch police detective who worked for the Oceanport Police Department before that, and who admitted he drove drunk and killed a 66-year-old woman in 2017, lost his third appeal this week. This is where he tried for a third time to ask the judge for a shorter prison sentence. Jake Pascucci, 32, was originally sentenced to 364 days in the Middlesex County Jail after he pleaded guilty in 2020 to third-degree strict liability vehicular homicide and driving while intoxicated. Now, he was, Long Branch is here in Monmouth County, so because of conflict of interest, they sent it up to Middlesex County, and what difference does it make? They're all in the same gang, same club, right? They're just phone calls away. The 364 days was part of the guilty plea deal he agreed to. See, this has always been my gripe, or one of my gripes. I got many of them. Is they, like the prosecutor's office here in Monmouth County, we're not going to tolerate that bad policing and things like that. The laws apply to everyone. Yeah, they go and they arrest him, they charge him, and then when it comes time to court, they give him a sweetheart deal. This guy killed a woman. Smashed her up. And they give him 364-day deal. It's two separate standards out there, people. You know that? I bet it'd been you or I. We'd be in a pokey for a couple years. All right, what else? The victim was hold on, let me get. The fatal crash happened at 8:15 p.m. on September 22nd, 2017 in Long Branch. Now, I did a video on that, and I went to that location. I'll see if I can find the video. I have to go way back on my video list. And if I can get it, I'll include it at the end of this thing so you can see exactly where it took place, because I'm not buying some of the things that the defense was putting out there. The way I see it, I've been down that road. I know that well. It's well lit, and you have a good sight coming down the road, so I think a lot of it was all BS. And this is what's despicable about this Jake Pascucci, is he tried to blame it on the victim. Pascucci, an off-duty Long Branch police officer at the time, was driving on Ocean Boulevard, and they failed to say that he left a backyard party and was drinking. When he struck and killed a pedestrian at the intersection of Ocean Boulevard and South Broadway. The victim was a Karen Brokowski, 66, from Stanhope, New Jersey. Detectives who responded to the scene detected an odor of alcoholic beverage emanating from his breath and his person, and noticed his speech and movements were slow and lethargic, according to court records of this incident. And Pascucci was taken to a nearby hospital where he consented to provide a blood sample. Now, they don't tell you how long they waited before they took him to the hospital. Test results showed his blood alcohol content was 0.088%, just above the state's level intoxication limit of 0.08. See, it was almost 0.09. At the time, his lawyers argued that not all mitigating factors had been considered, including interviews with an eyewitness who told detectives the woman was crossing outside the crosswalk when she stepped in front of the Pascucci's car. What is the difference if she was outside the crosswalk or not? You're a car, you're coming down the road, you have a clear view of the highway there. It was not dark, and you can see up ahead, and you still hit her. Probably because you were talking to the person in the passenger car, because according to, and I'll get to that in a minute, supposedly there was another person in the car, but I can't confirm that, and I'll talk about that later on. He was outside a crosswalk when she stopped in front of Pascucci's car. His defense lawyers also cited an unrelated Monmouth County case where a drunk driver struck and killed a pedestrian and received 90 days in jail. Well, why don't they cite the other cases where a drunk driver got a lot more than 90 days or 364 days? See, this is what's despicable about this guy. He was drunk. He was intoxicated. And he doesn't want to admit that his intoxication may have had something to do with it. He doesn't want to admit to the fact that he was driving fast. I'm alleging that he was driving fast. Based on how the car looks, he hit her pretty fast and hard. With his lawyer, Pascucci appealed that sentence and was successful, with a Middlesex County Superior Court judge reducing his prison term first to 240 days. So he went from 364, then it was down to 240 days. That wasn't enough. He doesn't think he should spend any time in jail for being drunk, operating a vehicle, and killing this woman. He doesn't feel any responsibility. And this all comes back to where I say, police do not have empathy. And this is a good example where somebody has no empathy. Pascucci then appealed a second time for a shorter sentence, and the same judge shortened it again, this time to 180 days in jail. And a question I have is, how is Jake Pascucci paying for all these attorneys? He's obviously not working anymore as a cop, so he's probably not making as much money as he did. So how is he affording all these attorneys for all these appeals? Attorneys are not free. And I'll tell you what, I'll put my money down, I'll bet the money in my pocket that Mr. Pascucci has spent more money on lawyer fees, legal representation, fighting his sentence, than the victim in this situation, Mr. Borkowski, Ed Borkowski, received in the settlement. I know what he got. And trust me, folks, Jake has spent more money on attorneys than this poor man received. The state appeals court said the courts need to deter the public from drunk driving. You can read the April 2022 appeals court decision here. And I'll go take a look at it. If there's something I can talk about, and I'll make another follow-up video on this. The case was transferred out of Monmouth County to Middlesex to avoid any conflict of interest. Pascucci was a police officer in Oceanport for several years, which is a very lily-white neighborhood. Upscale, no, I wouldn't say upscale, upper middle class, lily white, very lily white. Sits right there by the water. There's an inlet comes in there, and a lot of people over there have waterside property. Pascucci was a police officer in Oceanport for several years, where he was hired by Long Branch PD, according to the Asbury Park Press. Well, I think he went to Long Branch so he can make more money. Okay, so I got a message from the victim's husband, and let me see if I can bring that up quickly, and I'll read what he has. Actually, it's not something that he said to me, it was something that he posted, so let me get that. Okay, so what I also found, Ed Borkowski posted on his Facebook page the following information. The New Jersey Appellate Division has affirmed the sentence against Jake Pascucci, which means that he should be taken into custody to start his prison sentence. However, Pascucci's attorney will likely appeal this to the Supreme Court of New Jersey. It is expected that the court will not entertain it, but the question is, how long will that take? So again, how is Jake Pascucci affording these attorneys? Assistant Prosecutor Keith Abrams plans to file a motion asking the judge to remand Pascucci into custody despite any appeals. Keith will let us know when this motion is filed and if it will be heard before the court. And that's Ed's right there. I put that on there, so I'm not reading anything I shouldn't. And then I had posted I think I responded on here. That's what it was. And then Ed had contacted me directly, and we had a conversation. And I told him I had just found out about it the day before, and we had a little conversation. And Ed said to me that there was another passenger in the car, and it's a big secret as to who it is. I don't know. I find that difficult to believe, but so I directed, Ed wanted to know how we could find out or anything like that, so I directed him to do a public records request through Long Branch and get a copy of the responding officer or officers' reports, and on that report it should have a victim's name, not a victim, but the passenger's name, because the passenger is a witness to the crime, therefore they have to identify themselves to the police. Now, I did say, look, you may get that report and they'll redact the name, but I would think that if there was, in fact, a passenger in the car, why was that passenger not brought into court to testify or anything like that? I think the problem here is it never actually went to trial. The whole deal was hammered out in the back room, and thus Ed really just never had his day in court regarding his wife's death. So again, this poor guy Ed has really just been getting the short end of the deal every time here. We got a lousy settlement. I don't know why the people who served Jake Pascucci the drinks at the backyard function, I don't know why they were not personally sued for allowing him to leave like that. So there's another question there. And I don't know. Ed seems to think there's a little cover-up going on, and I'm sure there's probably some truth to that. So it's unfortunate, but this is really what pisses me off about this former cop of the month, Jake Pascucci, is that you know he couldn't apologize to me. He couldn't just say, you know what, look, I screwed up. I always say that really the best thing to do when you screw up in life, and at some point you just have to say, look the people in the eye and say, look, I'm sorry. I did not get up this morning to go out and get drunk and kill your wife. I'm sorry. I feel your pain, and I wish there was something I could do to bring her back. No, he can't do that. He had to have, finally, after the last appeal hearing he had, how many months ago that was, he had the lawyer read his apology. So no doubt the lawyer, orchestrated that in such a way. So he didn't even have the balls. He wasn't even man enough. Pascucci, you weren't even man enough to apologize to this poor guy. And let me tell you something about Ed. Ed is in a wheelchair. Ed is not in good health. And every day that Ed wakes up is a blessing because he knows time is running out on him. And he requires almost 24-hour assistance. And his wife was his caretaker. And you, Jake, you took that woman away, and again, you couldn't even apologize to the family yourself. So you're not even a man, you're a coward. And you're despicable, in my opinion, because you're trying to get out of going to jail for doing something that you shouldn't have done. And you were drunk, pal. You were drunk. You were illegally drunk. You admitted to being drunk, and you admitted to killing that woman. And you can't even apologize to her, and you can't even take the time that's coming to you. You got to fight that tooth and nail. What are you afraid of going to the county, Jake? Are you afraid you're going to drop the soap and Bubba's going to make you his bitch? Is that what it is, Pascucci? You're afraid? You're a pussy? You're a pussy, go sit in county jail? Oh, you poor little baby. What's the matter? The gang members up there aren't going to protect you? They'll put you in Punk City, PC. Protective custody, also known as Punk City. That's where they're going to put you. All I can say, Jake, is you're going to jail, buddy. And I can't wait. I can't wait till you go to jail. I wish I could be there to watch them pull up in the bus with you coming out in the chain gang. And, if we have our way, if I did my math correctly, 180 days is, how many is that, 9 months or something? I don't know how many months that is. 30 and that is 9. Goes 9 times. No, that's not. It goes 2 times. So, with any luck, he could spend Christmas in jail. So maybe they'll let him stay out for a little while and then he'll go to jail for Christmas. But you belong in jail, Pascucci. You're living a good life. You killed that woman, and I hear you're getting married. You bought some property or something. Is that true, Jakey boy? And you're working, I heard last year you were working for a landscaper. Is that true? That's right, Pascucci. I get the insight on you all the time. I run into the right people and I find out because people tell me, Jakey boy, well, your time is running out, Jakey. And I would say to the next judge you go in front of, they should take, if you try to get that 180 days down, I think they should put it back to 364 days just because you're a despicable human being. You lack empathy and you won't take responsibility for your actions. What more can I say? I'm John Van Dyke, New Jersey Exposed. Hey everybody, Gunston Undercover. We are down here in Long Branch, New Jersey, and we're just outside the Ocean Place Resort and Spa. And the reason I'm here is to report on another Blue Zero hero story. This time it's a Long Branch police officer by the name of Jake Pascucci. He was 29 years old, and 2017, I believe it was in September, he was driving down this road, this very road right here, when a lady by the name of Pascucci, who was staying across the street at the Ocean Place Resort and Spa, was crossing this very street right here, and she was struck and killed by the Blue Zero hero who was off duty at the time. It's reported by NJ.com that this Jake Pascucci was at a barbecue earlier and was drinking and had gotten a drink to go, and he was heading down to go to another bar to get some more drinks. And he hit this poor lady so hard it bashed the front of his car in, and it knocked her right out of her shoes. I'm going to post the story. The story's already posted on my Facebook. I'll post a video picture of his car. He told the officers on scene that he had a green light and she jaywalked, but as you can see, this is a pretty busy road right here. I'm sure that this woman used a little care when she crossed that highway. Just to give you another angle of what it looked like where she crossed. We believe she crossed where that man is standing there and went across it there, and he plowed her right at this intersection, and that's where her life ended. Now this Blue Zero hero, he had quite a good deal going on. They sent his case up to the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office, and he was sentenced by Judge Michael Toto to 364 days in jail and 5 years of probation. Now, this Blue Zero hero, Jake Pascucci, did not go to jail right away. He was given 10 days to file an appeal. And I'm assuming the appeal has to do with the sentencing. His attorney, Steve Altman, said, quote, he was disappointed that he thinks his client shouldn't get any time, but in my opinion, I think the client should have got 5 years in prison. He killed that woman. You know, these cops, they're off duty. They do what they want because they think they can operate with impunity. And I'm sure that was the mindset of that officer that day. He could go out and drink and do what he wants, and nobody's going to bother him because he's in Long Branch, which is where we're at right now. And if any gets stopped, the gang members will come to his aid. But this time it didn't work out that way. So right now as it stands, Jake Pascucci is going to get 364 days in the pokey and 5 years of probation, and he's never going to be a police officer again. That's the one good thing out of it. He'll never be a cop again. And just one final note. This is a message to the Pascucci family. Ed, I believe her husband's name was. To the Pascucci family, if you're out there, I sure hope that you sue Jake Pascucci, take him for everything he's worth. And also, I would recommend that you go after the people that had the barbecue that served him the drink, especially whoever gave him the last drink that he took when he left. Because you're part of it. They were part of the responsibility of the families, the person that gave him those last drinks. And just another note to add to this, that officer was tested 2 hours later at the hospital and blew a .08. He was way over the limit. So you got to figure 2 hours before that, he had to be ripped. And that's why he hit that lady. And to the Judge Michael Toto of Middlesex County Superior Court, my message to you is, don't lighten that sentence for him. He deserves every last minute that he spends in jail. Okay? No deals. Don't be giving these Blue Zero heroes deals. He's a cop. He should know better. And he acted stupid, and he thought he could get away with something, and he didn't this time. So don't let him off. Waste more of his money. You know, instead of wasting money with the attorney, that cop should be giving his money to the family whose family he destroyed by killing that lady. Because from what I hear, the lady was a pretty nice lady. She took care of her husband who had health problems. She took care of somebody else who had health problems. So that Blue Zero, Jake Pascucci, took away a good person from this world. So he doesn't deserve any break on his sentencing.